Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be very strange texting or testing behavior. Well, I've got an email from a guy. I think he said he's been through my book 3 times. Obviously, we're talking about 3% man. And so he met a woman online recently, and she kind of jerked him around a little bit when he was trying to set the date, and then contact him at the last minute, figuring he would just drop everything and to go hang out with her. But obviously he was busy. And so he eventually went out on a first date with her, and it went quite well. And then when he tried to set a second date, kind of the same thing. She's kind of jerking him around, taking longer to reply. And so this brings up a lot of good points to understand, because us guys, we always project our interest onto the women that we desire, and we often ignore the fact that they're not reciprocating as much. And so it's important to look at the level of enthusiasm that you get from women. And obviously he met a pretty girl online, so you can imagine she's got tons of attention, tons of guys she's probably found attractive and that she would go out with. And so you can imagine if she's got 10 or 15 or say 20 matches, and she's messaging with these various guys, she has to weed out the men from the boys. And so these are the kinds of things that you're going to see when a woman, obviously she has an abundance mentality because she's online, and the reality is women on online dating, they pretty much have all the power. That's why I prefer meeting women in person. And so when you're participating in online dating, you're in essence kind of playing in her world, in her playground. And so she's got to figure out which guys are worth her time and which aren't. And the ones that have higher interests are going to be easier to get together with, and the lower the interest, or if you're one of like 20 dudes she's talking to and she finds you attractive, but you're kind of in the middle of the pack there with everybody else versus the 1 or 2 guys she's really attracted to, this is the kind of behavior you're going to encounter. And so the key in these situations is always indifference, and to be unperturbable, and to be playful, and match and mirror what you're getting back to her, or getting from her, I should say. So I got a quote that I wrote. We'll go through his email. And the quote says, "The lower a woman's level of romantic interest, the more unpredictable, wishy-washy, and flaky she will be when trying to set dates and respond to messages. The less interested she is, the more she will test, try to see if she can jerk a guy around, and generally give off the attitude of indifference. The more interested a woman is, the easier she will make it to get together for a date. The key is to not take it personally, but to respond with indifference, playfulness, not attachment, but be direct and decisive when trying to set a date. Never accept a maybe date, last-minute dates, or dates where she expects a guy to verify that the date is still on at the last minute, as these are tests of a man's confidence and dominance. A man with options is not going to be jerked around because his free time is limited, and he doesn't let anyone waste it." And so if you're in her world, and you imagine if it's this case, it's online dating, and there's several guys that are kind of she's attracted to in the same kind of level, she's going to do these kinds of things to weed out and separate the men from the boys. So he says, "Hey, Corey, I'm a more recent consumer of your work and has already started to change my life. I've read your book 3 times now and have listened to it on audiobook twice." He says, "Yeah, I know, still 10 more times to go." Well, a cheat code for getting through the book quickly and to really learn this stuff is to have a paperback copy or a hardcover, like this sweet hardcover version, and listen to the audiobook, and you can speed it up. And as you speed it up, you can get through the book quicker that way. And when you're listening to it and you're following along in the book with the words, you're totally concentrating on the material versus driving in your car and listening to the audiobook, or working out in the gym, listening to the audiobook, or reading through a paperback or a hardcover or the digital version. So when you're listening to it and you're following along the words, and then you can speed up especially if you're listening to the audible version, Oftentimes I'll listen to a book at like 2 times the speed, and you just get through things a lot quicker, especially the longer books. It's really helpful, and then you're just going to retain more information versus just listening to an audiobook. If you're busy doing other things, you're just not really concentrating on what's being said. It's kind of like you're fading in and out a little bit. So he says, anyway, I have an odd situation where a woman I met online has been sending strange texting patterns and signals. Well, the thing to understand is, like, when you're confused, when a woman's behavior is confusing, it's typically a sign of lower interest. And in this case, I would say probably because she's got a lot of other dudes. You're just one of the dudes she's talking to. We met online, and pretty much immediately she sent me her number. We talked for about 15 minutes on the phone, and mostly her talking. And I said I had to go and asked her when she was free to get together. She said Monday, and I asked what time, and she said she didn't know. So you can imagine if she's talking to some famous hot celebrity guy and he's in town for a few days, she's not going to give him that kind of response. That's a woman that's kind of hedging her bets. There may be 2 or 3 other guys that maybe she's more attracted to, that she likes more, that she's waiting to see what happens with them. Because if she's available Monday, she wants to go out with the guy that she likes the most, that displays the most dominance. It's almost like she's seeing if you'll slide to the back of the line. Because guys that don't have anything going on will go, okay, yeah, I'll wait till Monday and call you to see what time we can get together Monday. And almost 100% of the time, if you do that and you agree to that, she'll have something else going on and won't be able to make it. But she'll be really sad that she couldn't get together. Really flat. Kind of sad. It's, oh, shucks. Darn it. I just can't make it tonight. I got to pull some weeds in my garden. So I simply said, well, let me know when you have time, and got off the phone. And so that's kind of hitting the ball back over the net. Now the ball's in her court. She said she didn't know her time. If you have you have a busy social life, you're a busy professional, it's like, if you're in the sales business, in any kind of sales business, and you got a prospect that's going, I'm not unsure of my schedule, it's like you're not going to leave valuable closing time to somebody that's like, maybe I can come by Monday or not. You're like, I'm going to talk to another prospect is what you're going to be doing. And so it's really helpful, especially the guys that have backgrounds in sales, when they read my book. Obviously, I have a background in sales. They really can click and understand how to take that prospecting and pre-qualification of your prospects from business and apply it to your personal life. She eventually sent me a text on Monday saying she worked late. So I told her last minute stuff doesn't work for me, and if she wants to go have some fun, then give me a specific day and time. Perfect answer. Good job, dude. It just communicates that, hey, I'm busy. So she's calling Monday, and imagine if he'd have said, okay, yeah, I can meet you for a drink. Maybe she would have met him for a drink, but her respect for him would have dropped a little bit, but more than likely she would have flaked. Because she's trying to see if she can jerk him around. If she's got 2 or 3 guys that are kind of on the same level of attractiveness, she's going to try to jerk all 3 around and see which one stands up to her and doesn't allow her to get away with it. And that's the guy that she'll end up meeting. These are little subtle differences that make the difference. He said, we met for the date, and I felt I did amazing. I asked a lot of questions and let her do 80% of the talking. And at the end of the night, as she was loitering by her car and not leaving, I said, I think you need to get it over with and come over here and kiss me. That sounds like a line right out of that little blue book. I'm still waiting. One of these days, somebody's going to say, I used that line, and you're like, you read Corey Wayne's book. But it hasn't happened yet. In all these years, all these millions of copies that people have read over the years, it hasn't happened. Interesting. She giggled and said she doesn't make the first move. So I kissed her, and we made out for 20 minutes behind the bar. I put her in a car, and she said, text me when you get home. I said, okay. Not even 5 minutes into my drive home, she texted me telling me how much fun she had. I waited till I got home, and then I said, I had a good time too, but I have to work early, so I had to get to bed. Nice. Because a guy who's got nothing else going on would have stayed up and probably chit-chatted for hours and talked her out of liking him. She said she would text me tomorrow. I told her great and good night. And so when a woman says like, oh, I'm going to text you tomorrow, you got to give them the space to do that. And sometimes, a lot of times women will do that. They'll say, oh, I'm going to call you tomorrow. I'm going to text you tomorrow. And they don't. And they do it on purpose. And then you don't do anything to that. Because she said she was going to get in touch. She didn't. And as a man, you want a woman who really wants to be with you. If it was a close family member or friend saying, hey, I'm going to text you tomorrow, they would have gotten in touch. And even if they didn't get in touch, they would have gotten in touch a couple days later and said, hey, sorry I didn't get back to you. Something came up. I got busy or I forgot or whatever. Sorry about that. That's what you want. You want somebody that appreciates and values your time. So you got to understand a woman like this is going to be flaky and wishy-washy because, again, she's online, doing online dating, and she's getting tons of responses. He says, at 9 a.m. the next morning, she texted me good morning and kept asking how my day was going, etc. So that's a good sign. It shows that she's interested. As I was working and busy, there was at least an hour or two between each message, which obviously she's doing probably on purpose, unless maybe she's busy at work as well. Because after you text with somebody for a week or two, you kind of start to see a pattern. Like I've met women, and then like they literally will start texting and then just stop in the middle of the texting exchange, and then 24 hours later, they'll text again. Then I'll text back, sometimes one or two more texts, and then again another 24 hours. And it's one of two reasons. They're either doing it on purpose to see if they can get me perturbed, or they just have low interest. Either way, you don't take it personally. You should be amused by it. But if you're confused about her interest, it's usually because the interest is low. I finally said work is busy, but I want to see her again. When was she free? She said Monday? I said Monday works. How about 8 p.m.? That was 4 p.m. and I didn't hear from her again. I resisted my old temptations to double text or call her, and I'm just leaving it alone. It seems strange because her interest level seems fairly high, a 6 or a 7, but then she's pulling the same shit she did at the start when she flaked. Any advice or input? Well, you're not a mind reader. I'm not a mind reader. I'm pretty good at what I do, but at the end of the day, the fallback position is always, what are her actions communicate? Well, she offered Monday, you said what time, or you said 8 p.m., and she didn't even respond. So typically what happens in these cases is Monday comes and goes and she doesn't reach out because most guys are like, hey, you didn't respond. Hey, are we on for Monday? And then that's it. That's all it takes and you're done. But she didn't respond. So she's either doing it on purpose to see if she can cause you to get perturbed, or there's another guy that she liked more who responded positively, and she's going to go explore things with him because, quite frankly, she knows she can probably get away with texting you Tuesday or Wednesday or even 2 weeks later and go, oh, I'm so sorry, or I forgot, or my dog got hit by a flying monkey, or some fucking weird ass excuse. You're like, bottom line, she didn't text back when she said, she just ignored him. She's left him hanging. She left him on read, if you will. So you have to assume, because you don't know her well enough, that she has low interest. Maybe there's an ex-boyfriend. Maybe there's another guy she met online that she likes more and she's fucking him right now. You just don't know. It's obvious this girl has a lot of options because she's behaving that way, and you're kind of, quite frankly, the low man on her totem pole. And so therefore, it's totally appropriate we did. You never call or text again for any reason. If she disappears, she disappears. Sometimes women like this will show up a month and a half later because, again, they started dating some other dude, and then he screwed things up, and then she's going to remember, man, that guy, I never heard from him. Whatever happened to him? Men who have choices and options are going to see this and be like, hey, she obviously doesn't want to see me. Maybe she's busy with some other guy. I don't really care. I want enthusiasm. I want, hell yeah, I'd love to see you. That'd be wonderful. That'd be great. Great. But we don't see that. So don't take it personally. Got to look at it as a numbers game. But I like the way you handled things. You did great, dude. So good job. Keep reading the book. And if you've got a question or a challenge that you'd like to get my help with personally, go to understandingrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a coaching session with yours truly. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.